There's something I want to talk about. Don't mind the bonnet. Um, Last night I heard about this case about these two guys that were serving life in prison because of what they've done to these two younger boys. Um, I heard about their case last year, I think, and a lot this year. But now that Trump had came back into office, the system flipped on them. Um, the system is rigged. Um, the way the system is ran is completely backwards, just like in my last video I had made. You expect one thing to go one way and it goes the complete opposite because of money or because of power or because of control. Um, for example, look at, Hollywood had made a lot of movies on these. They may be fictional, but they are representation of something that can go down, something that did maybe happen a long time ago, or something that eventually could happen. Look at what happened earlier this case with the CEO. Look at why and everything that led up to that. That's basically an example of how these movies could portray something that could really happen. Before I get into his case, y'all seen the movie? Well, I don't know if y'all seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure I heard of like a law-abiding citizen, or you probably seen John Q with Denzel Washington, Peppermint with Jennifer Garner. Um, those are all examples of people taking matters in their own hand because the system wouldn't help them. They may be extra with the action just to get you to watch the movie, but the plot behind it is something bad happened at the start. Always. All three of those movies is something bad happened at the start, and it resulted in these parents taking you know, full matters into their own hand. And when you're desperate and when you are in need and when you're hurt, you tend to do that. It's sad because if we lived in a system or lived in a world with a better system, then this wouldn't be happening. I was watching this video with Charlie Kirk last night. Well, I should say like this morning because I stayed up late. I was watching this video with Charlie Kirk on Jollibee. Him go up against 25 liberals. And that whole video proved the mindset of how the people of society, how their mentality is because of the system that we live in, if you get what I'm saying. These people were disrespectful, they were impatient, they were loud, and their points, they didn't really have any strong, solid points. Every topic that he talked about in that video proved what is wrong with this world. He tackled sensitive, heavy topics and was able to prove his point. His point was how people of this society tend to fold with the narratives that shouldn't be going with, if you get what I'm saying. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is because of the two guys that I was talking about at the start of the video. I also forgot to mention A Murder of Crows with Cuba Gooding Jr. That movie is more like on the fictional side, but it, again, still is like a viable point. How he didn't want to take a case to represent someone who was bad, and he had got his license removed. The two guys I was talking about at the start, the Walton couple, those two guys are gay, and they decided to adopt two young boys, and they did unspeakable acts, literally unspeakable acts. He told them to not, whatever happens in that house stays in that house. That's not right. Why I'm mentioning both of these things is because that is what happens when the system pushes that, right? And the reason why I have mentioned the movies earlier is because that is also a victim of how the society is doing wrong to us. They're pushing this wrong narrative that we are growing with. We're not supposed to be growing with it, but we happen to be. They've been sentenced to 100 years because Trump had came back in office and persecuted them. But if Trump didn't come back in office, those are the type of things that would have kept happening for the rest of this decade. if you get what I'm saying. That is the stuff that the blue was pushing, just to be honest. And again, it's not to hurt anybody's feelings. It's just the flat out truth, right? That was the stuff that would have been happening consistently. We would have had more cases of that. There are cases of that, but we would have had more of it, is what I'm trying to say. Unfortunately, it took this long for it to get, caught. Connecting back to Luigi now. Luigi did what he did because of deny, defend, and dispose. Deny means when they denied his insurance claim, which means that he couldn't get insurance to cover whatever medical problems or any problems that he had. It could have been a family. It could have been anything, right? Defend is when they defend a decision in a court, obviously. When the movies take it to court. And by the way, taking things to court is a long process. Whenever they talk about lawsuits and taking things to court, never flex that, because that's not something that is consistent. That's not something that's just going to happen overnight. Getting the lawyers, getting the case, getting all the facts, that takes a while. And then dispose means you just get done. You get done with it. You move on with it. The messed up part of that is that because this is such a rich company, right? The ideology of that is that they are such a strong uphold company, they can't do no wrong. They're playing with something that we need. Insurance is a very important thing. Safety and protection is a very important thing. Insurance policies is really important to have that in stock, more than having the newest shoes in your house or the newest car in your lot. It's always important to have that. Maybe something personal happened with him. I haven't looked into the case. Maybe, I don't know if the case, if that information came out, but what I'm saying is that I just don't know. But I'm just thinking about the what ifs. That's why I mentioned the movies. Those are just examples that they make. Sometimes these movies be telling the truth, like I said. But my main point is maybe they didn't help him. So he decided to take matters into his own hand. And that's why a lot of people liked him. A lot of people weren't even mad at him, because these are billionaires who operate in the high towers, right? And he felt like he was in need, but they didn't help him. So he got angry. That's why I think on the bullets, it wrote, it had deny, dispose, and defend. I think that was the motive, right? That explained everything. Unfortunately, that's just how it had to go. The system is meant to fail. The system is rigged. Like I said in my last video, that's just the celebrities' back. That's the celebrities' background of it. That's their point of it, right? Ours as the local people is a bit different. It's a bit worse because we're in the poor. Because I live in Hartford, right? And there's a lot of hoods in Hartford. And I'm not Hartford. I live in Connecticut, right? And there's a lot of hoods in Connecticut, right? There's a lot of hoods in Hartford, Albany Avenue, the South End. It's bad over here. And it's like that over here, period. It's like that in a lot of states. But my point is, even Manchester over here, crazy too. Manchester used to be clean, but over here kind of got some bad people. I'm just being honest. And it got some crimes and stuff. There be stuff going on around here. A lot of stuff. It ain't perfect over here in Connecticut. Connecticut is not perfect. Connecticut is just like the other states. The only thing Connecticut has is good economy and good education. But Connecticut is just like how New York, Massachusetts is. Talking about the poor, like I said like 30 seconds ago. If a guy had committed a very, very horrendous act and was caught, like, let's say I can't say the word because they'll strike this down, but let's say he SA'd a woman and then unalived her, right? They would take him lightly. They would arrest him, put him in some light cuffs, have one officer on his shoulder and carry him to the car, give him like a year in prison, and he'll be out and he'll do it again. When Luigi had committed that crime and was obviously persecuted, he literally had, like, you could look up the pictures, he had like 400 cops on him. Cameramen. It was unnecessary. Chains on him. Why is that so necessary? It's only necessary because he's wealthy and because the CEO's family wanted that. They probably asked the police, hey, But I'm telling you, if there was the real crime in our local area that has always been for the past 60, 70 years, you know how much crime there has been in the local poor? Over here is like its own reality. That's why I say the celebrities don't relate to us. But that's a separate topic for another video. Like, if you think about it, over here in the poor and the hood and the, you know, the projects and the local in the smaller area than the high wealthy people is its own systems. The people over here that create and commit these crimes, they don't get horrendous treatment to them. They get a pat on the back. That connects back again to the case that I made at the start of the video. The Walton couple. The stuff that they did to those boys is horrendous, and they are supposed to get persecuted. They're supposed to know that this is wrong. They got the nerve to talk about some love and freedom this and freedom that and no love and no appreciation and why we always getting hated. But you have to understand what you're doing is completely weird. That's not normal. And then you got the nerve to get 2 young boys with that? Look, this video isn't meant to, you know, it's just annoying when you hear the same horrendousness, the same craziness for the past 30, 40 years. You grow up hearing that with your family. You hear it in movies. You hear it in stories. You do research on it in videos. There's fictional movies on about it, talking about some real stuff. Happens to you when you grow up. Or what happens to you when you're a kid happens to you when you grow up. And it just keeps happening. That's why people work so hard to get out of this, because the way the system works is so backwards. Like, I just get so fed up with it. Like there's people out there who literally attack females, right? Do unspeakable acts to them, and they get a pat on their back. There could be a man who SA 5 girls, unalive all 5 of them, and will literally get a pat on the back and be out. As I've been doing more research on like history and stuff lately, because I love history. I love history and I love math, but history has been taking over more lately. There was this case in 1967. 1967. That's a long time ago in Connecticut. That's why I have this newsfeed app that talks about stuff that goes on in Connecticut. And it was talking about how, I don't remember the names because that was a while ago, but it came back for me making this video. He had like SA'd a girl like horrendously. Like he was very, very cruel and very evil and very vile towards her. And then he had unalived her. In 1967, Jimi Hendrix is alive, Sharon Tate is alive. That was 57 years ago? That's a long time ago. He got away with it. So he did it in 1967, and I forgot which city in Connecticut. It's over here. It's near like Manchester. It's near East Hartford or I forgot. It's over here in I keep saying Connecticut, but it's over here in Connecticut. And it hurt because that's here. That's too close to home, and you doing stuff like that. So he did that and basically got away with it. I think the cops got him now, but he's like in his 90s because that was 57 years ago. He did that when he was in his 30s. He unalived that girl. Like, what? Her family is mourning her. Just like in Peppermint, she took matters into her own hand because they wouldn't do nothing for them. They let the criminals out. The criminals literally unalived her kid and her husband. So she took matters in her own hand because the judge said, no, they're not guilty. They got a pat on their back. And they were smiling in court, looking at her while she was crying. So it just goes to show how far this can go. The system is